Hi there. There are plenty of ways to handle pagination in Ruby apps, and some of them are very popular. There is a chance you've heard about the PagiGem, Kaminari, JSON pagination, or other gems allowing you to easily work with paginated resources in web applications. All that is great, but I'm not sure if you know that ROM supports pagination out of the box, and so Hanami does. In this episode, I'll show you how to quickly implement pagination from scratch for your Hanami projects. Let's begin! I have this little application here allowing me to list articles in my browser. It just fetches the articles from the repositories and applies the serialization to the resulting collection. The serialization logic is extracted into the getAction class, which my articles index inherits from. I use the after callback to set my HTTP response status to :OK after the action successfully processes the request. If you want to know more about setting this persistence layer up, check out my episodes related to ROM. I've already covered several of them. Or check out the Hanami Mastery Pro, where I'm trying to share more advanced tutorials in a regular manner. All seems to be fine, however, in the case of hundreds of articles in my database, I definitely would not like to fetch all of them and render a return to the response at once. Instead, I'd like to paginate the result to always fetch a little subset of data, allowing my client to control how many items they want to process. ROM has built-in support for the pagination via the plugin system, and we're going to leverage this to speed things up. In the persistence provider, I'm going to enable the pagination plugin for SQL component for relations. Now, when I fetch any relation from the database, I can suddenly access the page and pair_page methods, allowing me to control how many records are fetched from the DB. With this, I can quickly create my pagination feature. I'm going to create a utility folder with a paginable module in it that I'll include in my action later. It will have a single method named paginate that accepts the relation and the params hash. Inside, I'm going to paginate the relation exactly as I've just shown you in the terminal. Now, in the articles index action, I just need to include the newly created module and add the pagination step to the handle method. With this, I can already paginate my resources by visiting the browser. This basic setup is working, however, it's not error-prone. I don't set up the default values for my pagination parameters, which will break my fetching method. Also, I do not validate the input parameters, so I don't secure my app from unpredictable input like extremely large or negative numbers. This is why I recommend validating your GET requests, similar to what you do for creating or updating resources. Here, I'm going to set the default constant and define the validation schema. I'm going to set the page parameter to optional, but in case it's passed in, it needs to be filled in. The expected type would be the integer defaulting to 1. I'll also make sure that the page is always greater than 1. I guess it should be a constant too, but whatever. Then I'm going to repeat that for pair_page parameter, with the difference that this will need to be also smaller than 50. Now let me use it. I'll extract the validation to a separate method and call it using the params hash as an input. If the validation succeeds, I'll just return from the method, but otherwise I'm going to halt the processing and immediately return to error information to the browser, setting up the HTTP code to 400. Now, when I call my browser with invalid pagination parameters, I'll end up with a more meaningful error message. Awesome! Pagination is a simple feature, but even such a little thing has its caveats. I hope that with this short episode, I've shown you why it's useful to validate all input incoming to your system and how to paginate resources using Hanami and ROM in your web applications. I want to especially thank my recent sponsors, Akilas Yemane, Bill Tien, Benjamin Klotz, for supporting this project. I really appreciate it. And remember, if you want to support my work even without money involved, the best you can do is to like, share, and comment on my episodes and discussion threads. Help me add value to the open source community. As usual, here you can find 2 of my previous videos. Thank you all for supporting my channel. You are awesome and have a nice rest of your day.